I'm going to answer 20, actually 42 questions that you might have about Internet Computer Protocol, mostly about things like staking and dissolving and age bonus. I'm going to go through a bunch of these things that people have asked me in one-on-one calls on jerrybanfield.com before this. So I hope you can just watch this video and get the answers here. So there's going to be a lot of things about ICP and voting rewards and staking. And if you're new to that, you can see that on ICP right now, the baseline earning is 14.9% annualized estimated rewards, but there's a lot of stuff you got to do to set all that up properly. So that's what I'm going to answer here. So first question, how does the age bonus work on ICP staking? So if you find your neuron, you can go into the network nervous system on nns.ic0.app, grab your neuron, and then go over to the dashboard.internetcomputer.org, put your neuron ID in here, and then search for your neuron, and you'll see the age bonus you have right here. So the age bonus, you only accumulate the age bonus when you are not dissolving, and as soon as you click dissolve, your age bonus immediately goes to 0. So I'll answer some more questions about that in a minute, but basically your age bonus is multiplicative with your dissolve delay bonus. So the maximum dissolve delay bonus is to lock up for 8 years, and the maximum age bonus is 25%, but that actually gives you a total bonus 150% since it's multiplicative. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. And second question, how can my family access your ICP if you pass it away? If you set up a recovery phrase when you go to identity.internetcomputer.org, if you set up a recovery phrase and save that somewhere like in a will or in a safe, that's the easiest way. You can also authorize devices of your spouse or your children, whoever you want to access it. That is... And there's talks about having things like a dead man switch where if you don't access the account for years, somebody else could access it. But right now, the recovery phrase is generally the best option. If you have a ledger hooked up, you obviously could just give somebody access to the ledger as well, and whatever you have set up for that should work too. 3, you guys ask, well, what's the best strategy for investing in ICP? I think the best strategy is to lock up most of it for the long term, about 80%, and then have about 20% liquid. That way, if there is some kind of a temporary price spike atop where the price goes nuts and then crashes, you can sell some of it, but the best rewards are going to come from long-term holding, especially at this current accumulation area. 4th question, should I start dissolving my ICP? I recommend if you're going to lock it up for 8 years, you either need to start dissolving it immediately or plan on never dissolving it, because the age bonus will give you a higher and higher APR. It'll keep your APR in line with the overall voting rewards going down. So if you lock it up, either dissolve immediately and then you'll get it back as soon as it's unlocked, or just leave it and then plan to sell your account, which we'll talk about more in a minute if you want to exit. Number 5, who should I follow for voting on ICP? If you go to vpgeek.app, you'll see all the different, neurons. You'll see Dfinity Foundation. If you go to neurons and you click on known neurons, you'll see Jerry Banfield's on here. I have voted on about 99.5% of the proposals since I've been on there. So I follow Dfinity, and then I also manually vote. Dfinity votes on most everything themselves. So if you follow me, that will easily give you, if not 100%, 99+% of the rewards. You can also pick someone else to follow if you want to. And on ID Geek, you can see the voting participation rate. Now, this is in the last 30 days. You really need all the different proposal topics. And not a lot of people will be 100% on this, because if there's any open proposals, these will sometimes be included in there. It looks like I've missed 2 votes out of 2,370. And that says the last 30 days, though, when really it's all time. So the analytics, sometimes there haven't been that many proposals recently. Check each individual neuron. If you want my neuron, it's on ID Geek or it's an open chat. Some of you think, well, if I follow multiple people, that'll make it easier, right? No, I recommend do not follow multiple people. If you follow multiple neurons, let's say one neuron votes yes and one votes no, then you will vote. But if one votes yes and one does not vote, you will not vote either. So I recommend find one neuron to follow, and you can set up your following when you're in the NNS. You click on your neuron. You have to follow on these 3 different categories. So I'm following Definity here, and I'm going to submit a proposal. So when you add directly in the nervous system, you can see Jerry Banfield in here as well. But you have to follow on these first 3, because this first one is the catch-all, and then the governance and the SNS neuron funds are separate. So if you want to follow, just follow one person, because there's, complicated rules for multiple neurons voting. And you can easily, I missed the only votes I've missed because I was following multiple neurons, and like 2 of them voted yes, 1 voted no, and 1 abstained. So I ended up abstaining also. So to only follow 1. Can you vote manually if you're following? Yes. So I'm following Definity, and as long as I vote before they vote, my manual vote counts and following them is irrelevant. Number 8, how can I see my neuron's voting history? So if you go to your neuron, take your neuron out of the NNS, and then you go to VP Geek, you can go to your neuron and you can look around and see exactly what your voting history is. So if you look at my all-time, there you see there's 3 proposals I have not voted on all time. And then if you look in the last 30 days, and you only click open, there are 2 proposals open right now that I have not voted on yet. So that means I've only missed 1 single vote out of 2,371 proposals, because I will vote those open proposals, which is 99.87% participation rate. And you can see exactly what I haven't voted on. So you can paste your neuron in there or anyone else's neuron and look exactly at the voting history. Number 9, should I participate in the Neurons Fund? No. Because the Neurons Fund, what the Neurons Fund does, it automatically invests in these different projects. It automatically will have a Neurons Fund commitment. And I recommend do this manually yourself. If you want to participate, do it yourself. Don't passively take your voting rewards and invest in a Neurons Fund. Number 9, if you want to do further research, the best places are to follow Definity and Dominic Williams on YouTube and on X, because that's straight from the source, straight from that's where I do most of my research on ICPs. I watch their videos, I listen to their presentations, and they put up a ton of content. So it's that easy. Now, obviously, you can subscribe and watch my videos, and there's other people, but the closer you stay to the source, the better information you're generally going to get. Number 11 and number 12 are all very related, because people ask, well, what's the cheapest way to buy ICP? And then how can I sell my internet identity if it's locked up? So if you go to idgeek.app, you can list your entire account. So I could list this entire neuron. I can list my whole account. Now, this goes across all your applications. So if I listed this account for sale, it would also include my open chat. So we definitely wouldn't want to do that. But on ID Geek, you can actually buy ICP at a nice discount sometimes. Like yesterday, I bought 2 accounts yesterday. I paid 310 ICP for this account that has 339 ICP in it, and I paid 300 ICP for this one that has 323 in it. So I got like a 6-7% extra ICP, and that's going to give me about 0.2 more ICP in the form of maturity a day. So for accumulating, buying these accounts often, like somebody here got a really fantastic deal. 2 weeks ago, they paid 3,075 liquid ICP for 3,578 ICP plus some chat. So that was an absolute fantastic deal. This means that, as I said before, the best strategy that I think is to just lock up, maximize your voting rewards, and then if you want to exit, sell your whole account. Now, there may be account restriction controls or something in the future, but for now, that's not an issue, and I'll update you and change the question if it is. 13, do I need a hardware wallet such as Ledger? I recommend against using a hardware wallet personally, because that adds a third-party Ledger between you and your ICP, which is the basic problem with almost all of crypto. I do not use a Ledger, even though I have one with my ICP, because I want to just interact directly between the blockchain. And if you lose your Ledger and your Ledger's recovery phrase, or if someone steals your Ledger, and or your recovery phrase, you could potentially lose all your ICP that way. So there's this additional layer of risk with the ledger, but I don't see an additional benefit. So number 14, I think you could follow me for the most voting rewards, or you could look on VP Geek and make your own decision. If you go to the known neurons, you can see exactly how much they're voting, what their all-time voting history is, and make your own decision there. Make sure to select proposal topic all to get a better idea. For example, if you follow Geek Factory, they voted on 99.6% of the proposals as well. ICP does have liquid staking. There's ID Geek has their own liquid staking, and then there's Water Neuron as well. I don't participate in liquid staking because I think it's much more effective to just lock it up and stake it myself without getting a third party involved. When should you start dissolving your neuron? If you want to dissolve your neuron, I would do it immediately upon staking. As soon as you add the dissolve delay, I would dissolve it right after that. Otherwise, just stay in for the long term, because I've ran all the math on it. If you start dissolving, you don't get any voting rewards the last 6 months. So if you set a 6-month dissolve delay and start dissolving, you literally will get 0. If you set, for example, a year dissolve delay, and then you start dissolving, well, you're only going to get rewards for half of it anyway. So that doesn't seem like it's very worth doing. The inflation on ICP, you can look and see exactly for yourself. If you go over to ICP, go down to circulation, scroll down to the bottom, you can go 1 year ago, there was 500 million. Now there's 520 million ICP. So the inflation rate's about 4%. You can calculate this yourself very easily. Always stick to the total supply, and don't even concern yourself with the circulating supply. Some of you ask, well, why doesn't ICP have a max supply? Because it's an infinitely scalable, theoretically, computation platform, and having a max supply is ridiculous for an infinite computation platform. Plain and simple. 19, why is the ICP price down so much from launch? Because it looks like it was artificially manipulated up to both sabotage the project and benefit insiders. And it looks like FTX was a big part of that. 20, where can I get the fastest answers to questions I have about ICP? The community on X is great. If you post something on there, you often will get answers. Like I posted this on, I've got 3 comments in 30 minutes. People asking, I've got 3 comments in 30 minutes. If you tag ICP and ask a specific question, if you want questions and answers from me and from my community, you can go to Open Chat, and there's 300 of us in here who will consistently, I read this every day and post. So if you want answers directly from me and the community, go to jerrybanfield.com, join my Open Chat and post in here. I also do live streams on Twitch. And this is the best way to you can post screenshots there. My Open Chat's probably the best place I've seen to get answers quickly without a whole bunch of spam and bots and, random crap like on X. If you want to create your own Open Chat community, just go down to the left side. You can click on Explore and then upper right, Create a Community. If you want to participate in an SNS launch, you go over to the launch pad and, like, for example, Cycles Transfer Station. So this is all on nns.ic0.app, which all these are linked on internetcomputer.org. So if you go to use and then go to NNS and staking on internetcomputer.org, it will take you there. Then you click on the little rocket launch pad, click on participate, and then you put some ICP in here and you will get some tokens. I generally do not participate in SNS launches, although I have participated in several in the past. I'm extremely skeptical going forward because of, they're often not a good investment, at least in the short term, and some of them are outright rug pulls. If you want to swap tokens on ICP, the easiest way to do that is in Open Chat. So if you join Open Chat through my link on my website, and then you go over in here and use your wallet, you click on this menu, Wallet. You can very easily swap to an absolutely incredible amount of tokens, but keep in mind you have to put your ICP or whatever you want to swap in your Open Chat wallet first. Even though this is with your internet identity, this can be with the same one you have. You'll notice my NNS wallet has 520 liquid ICP, but this Open Chat one has 19. So this is a separate wallet. If you want to swap legacy OGY and other projects moving to the SNS, you generally need to go to their dashboard. So if you go like search for OGY dashboard and you go to the dashboard.origin.com, you will look at all the things to do there. So if you connect your wallet, and it'll explain to you on the dashboard how to switch your tokens. A lot of you have lost your tokens just trying to swap them or send them to the NNS. Please don't do that. If you're in an SNS project that migrates, go to their website first and watch exactly how they do it. Question 25, how can I put my Bitcoin on ICP? If you want to put your Bitcoin on ICP, you need to click on Chain Key Bitcoin, then click on Receive, then click on Bitcoin. Do not send Bitcoin to a CKBTC address. You need to receive your Bitcoin and get this address. Note, it can take 12 confirmations, which can be hours before your transaction is confirmed. So that's several different clicks. Receive, Bitcoin, then your Bitcoin address. For Ethereum, last I checked, that was not set up yet, but it may be set up in the future. Make sure you do not send regular old Ethereum or regular old USDC to a CK address, or you may lose it. There are some additional options, but they require third-party services like the Oicy wallet, or some of the exchanges have it set up. But right now, I'm just using the official NNS ones because they're most reliable. Many of you have asked, do I use other wallets like Plug Wallet? I avoid using other wallets if possible because those often things go wrong with those. I've seen a lot of people who've had a lot of issues with other wallets on ICP. I generally don't use them right now. Is it safe to hold ICP and other coins in open chat? I certainly feel it is, although my main bag's directly in the NNS. But I've got, hundreds of dollars. Sometimes I've had thousands of dollars in the open chat wallet. I feel it is. Open chat says, if you go to your open chat and says it has no ICP, I addressed this earlier, but this is a separate wallet. Even though it's the same internet identity, it is a separate wallet. So you'll notice I have 19 ICP here and I have 520 here. I have no chat on this one. I have 134 chat on this one. So these are separate wallets. If you're trying to swap tokens on ICP Swap, I usually do it directly through the open chat wallet because that's integrated in there. I've lost my tokens on ICP Swap too and had to click several things, reclaim your tokens if you didn't get them and swap them back. It's a little buggy, but open chat has worked for me every time. Many of you ask, well, why does having everything on chain matter? I've done a few videos on that, but basically, if everything's not on chain with an application, like on OpenChat, since the entire website, application, all the the crypto wallets, since everything is on chain, then when I'm holding the chat token and I have this chat and I'm staking it and then I'm voting on things in OpenChat, that's true ownership via code. That is full accountability. My token has real value because the voting with it actually does matter. And if it's 100% on chain, then it also is not subject, the crypto is safe sitting there as far as we all have seen so far in years of open chat running. The crypto is safe because it's all on chain. But if I was using say MetaMask, which is a third party, if MetaMask itself gets hacked, your wallet could potentially end up signing. It could look like it's doing a legit transaction, but if it was hacked on one end, going through the MetaMask third party, centralized interface, then you could lose all your tokens, even though it looked like a legitimate transaction on your end, because it could be changed. So for trustworthiness, for real ownership, for everything Web3, it must all be on chain, or, sometimes you can get away with having parts off chain, but then if the developer has to pay for those and maintain those, it can all go to zero and fall apart. So you really need to have stuff fully on chain for it to be real Web3. OpenChat is 100% on chain. In terms of the chat features itself, they have some stuff like streaming and video calls that go off chain, which is not, to me, core functionality I use. But there's the apps that are 100% on chain. You've got that you have to research, and that could change depending on the application. You've got Tagger that's fully on chain. There's lots of apps that are fully on chain, but there's also even more apps that are not 100% on chain. You have to research each app individually and look into this, especially on the SNS launch. most of the SNS launches I've seen have not been fully on chain. And that's been a reason I haven't invested in them. Like Dragons is building 100% on chain, OpenChat's 100% on chain, but lots of these other ones are not 100% on chain. They rely on stuff that's off chain, which, like Trax, I enjoy Trax. I use Trax, but a lot of it is off chain, which means the developers maintain access and we can't have true decentralization. It can be better, but it's not true decentralization still. So a lot of these projects are not 100% on chain. You have to check every single one of them. I have never used funded.app so far. I've looked at it, but I have not used it so far. Some of the projects you could have got a good return using it, but other ones, you wouldn't have got anything. So that requires a lot of research. If you want to see the number of wallets with ICP, my favorite interface for that is icp.deliacapital.com. And you can look at this, for example, number of addresses with greater than 100 ICP. Like this, especially with the price dumping lately, you've got thousands of people who've loaded up ICP wallet with over 100 ICP just in the last few days. And you got tens of thousands that have done that. So this is a nice icp.deliacapital.com's a nice set of tools to look at for, the number of wallets. Right now, I am not aware of any serious competitors to ICP out there, and they look like they're trying to work with and bring the private version called Utopia to the biggest enterprises in the world like Amazon Web Services. So I don't see any serious competition at all for ICP, which is absolutely incredible. Some of you concerned, like, can the price death spiral? I mean, anything can happen. I see it as pretty unlikely. We dropped as low as $3 before, and because ICP is the truth in terms of the best tech and the largest research team, the more organic growth, the more people know about it, the more retail's going to keep stacking harder and harder as the price gets low. And the more, the lower the price goes, the more retail stacking will stop it from going further down. So I'm not concerned with the price death spiraling. The node rewards are not, there's millions of dollars in node rewards paid out each month. And that's the price of running the entire network. As the ICP gets burned more, there's a ton of capacity it's not used. So if anything, the node rewards can get offset further in the future by burning. All these stories you guys tell about the price are completely ridiculous. There's so many different things that go on. There's exchange manipulation. Don't try and explain price action. Just look at, is this, does this look like the future of Web3? Is there anything close to as good of a value as this right now? With as small as the ICP market cap is versus as big as the technology and the team is, I don't see anything. I don't see anything else on the horizon that looks this good. One of the things you all is like, well, why doesn't ICP just shoot up then? Because many of these exchanges, ICP has got to where it's at today by being almost completely excluded from the mainstream crypto media because it's so good, because it's the truth. People are scared of it because if you discover how good ICP is, you may sell all the rest of your altcoins. And all the people holding these altcoins and paying people to talk about them are scared of that scenario. However, it's growing organically. At this point, it looks unstoppable. So at some point, everybody is going to find out about ICP. If you want to check your current APR for your ICP Neuron, you need to go to the dashboard and you just put your Neuron in like I did before, and you can see my current APR is 15.5% because this age bonus is giving me a bit higher than what you get if you just lock it up. So all you need to do is copy your Neuron ID out of the NNS as I showed before, copy it, and then paste it into here, and it will show up. The voting power is calculated by multiplying these. You have your dissolve delay. So the longer you've locked, this gives you a dissolve delay bonus. And then you have an age bonus for the longer your Neuron has been locked without dissolving. So you multiply that times the staked ICP you've got. And if you're staking your maturity, like I restake my maturity right now, anytime you want to accumulate, you restake your maturity, then that stays in there and acts like ICP. So my voting power is 7,689 because you take my staked ICP, my maturity, multiply it by 108%, and that gives me my voting power. If you want to start dissolving, I think I put that question on there like 3 times because so many people ask, either either lock up and start dissolving right away, or don't just sell your account. If you've locked up like 6 months and you're just trying to get an APR and wait to start dissolving until you want to take it out, that's kind of an inefficient strategy, because let's say you locked it up for a year and then 6 months into the year you start dissolving, you would have got a much lower interest rate. You lose your age bonus, which ends up being small as soon as you start dissolving, and you only get about half a year of the 6%, the minimum interest anyway. Whereas if you had just bought an account like I did, if you had just bought an account on ID Geek, you then could have that locked up indefinitely. Maybe these accounts had age bonuses on them for more voting rewards. So I bought these accounts at a discount. I'm getting higher voting rewards than if I had just locked the ICP up. And then if I want to sell that in a year, if you add up the interest I've got on it, which would be like 15%, if you add the interest I've got plus the discount, that's over 20%. So even if I pay let's say I go to sell this in a year, which it'll be more valuable by then because of the age bonus, but let's say I get 10% less when I sell it. If you add the discount I got plus all the ICP I'll earn, I would actually get 10% equivalent APR if I sold this in a year at 10% less than the ICP in the account. So that's far superior to locking up for a year and then locking 6 months, waiting 6 months, and then dissolving. Because if you're stuck doing that when you're dissolving also, whereas I could keep the account a year and a half, and then if you include the discount plus the interest, I'll be getting close to 30%, and then if I sell after 10, I'll have gotten 20%. So that'd be way higher than if you locked for 6 months and then waited a year to dissolve and then dissolved. You'd only end up getting maybe 10%. So I'd get about double doing my strategy, buying an account at a 8-10% discount and then taking the maximum rewards and then selling the account. The only way you can actually get your maturity out of your neuron is to fully dissolve it. So if you lock or automatically compound your maturity, it's stuck in there indefinitely, which is great to increase your voting power. It does not look like it's a taxable event to lock your maturity, which makes accumulating maturity one of the best ways to actually accumulate voting power and future rewards. But if you want your maturity out, you have to dissolve to get the maturity actually out, or you go in and click spawn a neuron if your maturity is available. So what I'm doing is I'm automatically compounding if I'm accumulating. Then once the price moves, I will stop compounding and let my maturity pile up. And then when the maturity modulation is over 100, I'll spawn a neuron and then I'll be ready. Last question, should I stake some ICP short term? I think I talked about that in pretty good detail already. It's going to be a much better deal to just buy an account. So if you found this helpful, I'm Jerry Banfield, full-time YouTuber, Twitch streamer. I post on X. Go to jerrybanfield.com. If you've got more questions, I take one-on-one calls. You can ask in open chat. You can ask while I'm live on Twitch. And you can get all my videos by following on X and or on these 8 YouTube playlists.